Welcome back. You're tuning in to Financial Fitness Northwest live on 1150 KKNW, where we help you navigate the mortgage and real estate market with expert advice from knowledgeable and trustworthy industry professionals. Now we have in studio Helen Martin. Helen has been practicing real estate since 1995. A marketing and sales expert and relocation director for her office, Helen makes buying, selling, or investing in real estate a smooth and seamless transaction. Sellers ask about the ultimate home seller's plan, much different from the typical listing. Helen also has a worldwide network of professional agents who can help you get acquainted with your new city if you are making a move. Welcome, Helen.
Welcome. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're excited to talk about this topic. We haven't ever really talked about relocation before, so
it's really interesting. I was talking to you on the phone and telling me a little bit about how, you get referrals from other agents, and it's sort of unique, and so we're excited to hear you talk about that. But could you tell us just, how do you get into real estate?
Oh, let's see here. Well, I actually worked for the Rouse Company, which was shopping center management. And I really liked seeing all the tenant improvements. So it was more commercial real estate. And then from there, I went into property management. And I decided to get my real estate license because I thought it would look good on my resume.
Oh, yeah.
I had no idea I'd be selling all these years later, but I really enjoy it because it's always changing.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a new product out there, as you guys know, with mortgage, and there's always a new type of real estate, short sales, REOs.
Yeah. Yep.
You name it, I've done it.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy the relocation, though, because I like that one-on-one relationship with people. When somebody's relocating here, I don't know if you guys know, but there's about 14,000 people moving to Washington State every month.
Yeah.
And that's just from the DOL, the people who are getting licenses. So we don't even really know if that number is extremely accurate, but it's what we have. And so these people need places to live. They have no idea where to go. They want good schools for their kids. They want a certain lifestyle. They want to be close to hiking and, all the great things that the Northwest offers. So what I really like to do is meet with them one-on-one, really discuss, what they're looking for, and then try to match them with a few neighborhoods and, spend a little time in each one. So usually when I have a relocation coming out, I put them in the car and we go touring. I like to point them out, certain things of interest and, things that are important to them. And it just helps a lot with the process.
I'm sure. How did you get into relocation?
So I got into relocation because that was a passion of mine, is matching people.
Okay.
So I started reaching out to relocation companies, and I got approved with a couple. I got approved with Altair Global Relocation, and then Serva Apex Relocation. And you guys may not know, but those companies charge real estate agents a referral fee percentage. So that referral fee can be anywhere from 40 to 45% of our actual commission. And then some of that money goes back to their clients, who have used the relocation company. So it actually helps the clients who are moving here with costs and so forth.
Oh, okay.
So you would ask the question about agents. And, I work for Keller Williams Realty, and we are the largest company in the world right now by agent count, 173,000 agents across the country and the world. So basically, there's that huge untapped network of people where, we've actually been able to establish relationships. And I've chosen to pay a 30% referral fee because I feel like agents work really, really hard and that they deserve that, especially if I'm going to be paying a relocation company 40 to 45%.
Right. That's smart. And you just get it directly from the agent.
Exactly.
Which is probably a better referral, right?
Right.
Coming from an agent referring you as this expert who they know and the person already trusts that agent versus just a referral from a relocation company.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's the other thing is I've actually had people who have been put with relocation companies or relocation services with their with their company, and they didn't mesh with that person for one reason or another. So they talked to their agent back where they were from and said, who do you know? And they give them my name. And then, so I've actually been able to convert those as well.
Wow.
Just from the, endorsement of another agent that somebody trusts.
That's awesome. So how much of your business comes from the company referral versus just your agent network?
So the relocation company, I would say, is probably only about 5% of my business because it's certain companies that they work for. And then they only give certain agents in certain areas. So, I'm in Bellevue, right? So if they have somebody who is relocating to Woodinville, they're going to use a Woodinville agent. So that's kind of how they work.
Okay.
But it's still, 5% still counts.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a lot of more reporting. So, you have to do weekly reports every week if you're working with buyers or sellers. So it's a lot more paperwork in addition to you're giving up a lot more of your commission. But at the same time, when you have a happy client, then that turns into a lot more business in the future if you do it right.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Another little referral source, right?
Yeah. And I would say my agent referral business is about 40% of my business. So
Okay.
I'm getting relocation from other agents. And I also get listings too. So I actually had one the other day listing in Bellevue, and they referred me.
Oh, nice.
And so I'm meeting with them next week. And then, let's see, I have one that I actually gave out last night. I have a client who bought a house in Blaine Blaine, Washington, and they're now relocating back to Atlanta, which is the original agent who sent me out from Atlanta. So they are going to be listing with an agent in Blaine. So I gave that referral out. So then I get a referral fee from them.
Yeah. Well, that probably works both ways because I'm sure people who relocate here typically probably move a lot for their job. So they're then maybe, moving back or, in those tech fields, they do move around a lot for their jobs. So then you have referrals to give back to the people that are referring to you.
Exactly.
Which is nice.
Yeah, reciprocation is huge in that arena.
So how do you really stay in good relationship with these agents that are like all over the place so that they refer to you versus just some other person?
Yeah, so that's interesting that you say that because when I first got into the whole referral thing, it was mainly just having my name on the KW White pages, and this is who I am. This is what I pay out as a referral. And then I started being more purposeful, and I belong to a lot of mastermind Facebook groups. I don't know if you guys have heard of Lab Coat Agents, but they have probably about 100,000 realtors in their group, and they basically talk about real estate things that are affecting real estate agents, CRMs, any kind of helpful tool. They test a lot of that out, and they created their own referral page called Lab Coat Agent Referrals. So most of the people that are in the main group are also in the referral group. And so what I started doing is doing spreadsheets, like who's in what area, friends with them on Facebook, pay attention to what they're doing, what they're going through. So like I have a client in Denver or a colleague in Denver, and his wife is, having her last round of chemotherapy right now. So, keeping up with them, making sure that they're okay. He did a GoFundMe page. I donated money. So it's really that relationship, that caring, knowing what's going on in their lives, and then trying to support them. So, if I see somebody looking for a Denver referral, I would actually tag him in the post saying that they need to reach out to them. So again, it's reciprocation and just really knowing who's where.
Wow, that's
Facebook
really
helps
smart.
so much with that, doesn't it now?
It really does.
Yeah, learn so much about people and
Yeah.
kind of stay in their life, even if you don't really, really know them.
Exactly. Yeah. And I actually had somebody private message me yesterday. She's an agent out of Keller Williams in Seattle office. And she just said, hey, I've been seeing, all these agents from around the country, tag you in posts. And so, I really want to know what you're doing. Would you like to meet up for coffee?
That's awesome.
Nice. Yeah. So I have a question. So in your in your bio, you talk a little bit about this ultimate home sellers plan.
Yes.
What is that? So that's for listings. We've been talking a lot about buyers, but you do listings as well. And I'm curious what this ultimate home sellers plan is.
Yeah. So that is what I call it is preparation up front.
Okay.
So a lot of times what happens is when agents go to list homes, they do their marketing and they definitely, take photos and they may stage and that sort of thing. And then, they put it on the market. But then things can happen down the line. Like, for instance, the home may have multiple offers and somebody comes forth and says they want to do an inspection. And that offer looks great. So they go with the inspection and then the person just changes their mind. Because in our state, you can change your mind. You don't even have to have a reason to back out of an inspection. So then the property goes back on the market and it looks like, there's something wrong with it.
Right.
Because there's no buyer change their mind status in our multiple listing.
Right.
So basically what I do is all my sellers have their home pre-inspected and also a sewer scope or septic done. So then the main things out there, the buyers know what's wrong with the house. The sellers have an opportunity to fix things that a buyer might nickel and dime them on later down the line. If it's any kind of a big fix, they can get bids for it and then they can price the home accordingly. So a lot of it is just preparation up front in making it the best package product. Properly positioned in the marketplace, the shiniest penny on the block for people to want to come in and buy that home with no hassles on the close side.
So that's really fantastic and great to do that ahead of time. Do you ever get pushback though? Because I'm assuming you're giving them the inspection, right? So then the buyer would not get an inspection; they would just use the sellers. But sometimes does the buyer still want to do their own inspection? And then they have their technically they can get out.
I have gotten that. Usually the company I use is Pillar to Post, so they're actually pretty thorough in their inspections. They have all kinds of photos and stuff like that. So I find that when buyers look at the report, they don't feel like we're trying to hide anything.
Right.
The other thing is that, in today's market, we see multiple offers. And, we've had buyers say, hey, we might want to do our own inspection. So at that point, we always do offer review date. So we might say, okay, fine. Do you want to do a pre-inspection? Or if it's such a great offer and it beats out some of the other great offers, what we might do is say, okay, we'll go ahead and let you do your inspection, but we're going to have you do it during the counter offer period. So that way the home doesn't go pending.
Right.
So it's a 3-day period. They can do their inspection. And then if they approve it, then we move forward with the sale. But in the meantime, somebody else can come with a better offer or, so the buyer just takes that risk.
Yeah. Really, that's putting some control back in the seller's hands when the contract is really written in the favor of the buyer. They have so many outs to get out of the contract, and you're sort of alleviating some of that.
Exactly.
Like, make up your mind and make a decision.
Well, and the best thing about it, too, is that you get serious buyers.
Right.
Because there are some buyers out there that aren't serious, and especially if they are relocating, and some people feel like, oh, I have to find a place in a weekend, but then they're just not quite sure if that's really the right neighborhood or the right house for them. So, we really work with the seller in getting the best terms for them to essentially bulletproof the deal.
Like it.
Yeah, I think that's really good. And it also, I think it protects the value of the home too, because a lot of agents are going to use that inspection, like you said, to kind of nickel and dime and get the price down on something that maybe really is not that big of a deal. So just take that off the table right in the beginning. And
And also, you probably can close a lot quicker, too, because when you get, like, the sewer scope and those things done out of the way.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And having bids, if there is work needs to be done, because getting bids and all that stuff just drags out the closing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's really nice. It's like just clean.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's great for the buyers, too, because, I had a relocation and they wanted to buy in Renton, and it was out in the farm area, and it was a beautiful house on a great piece of property. They got through the inspection period and everything was just fine. And then the seller did the septic inspection and found out a whole new drain field had to be done.
Oh, no.
And
That doesn't happen overnight.
no, I mean, so they had to back out and buy a different house. And that seller, I think, is still working to get that fixed. So if the seller had known about that up front,
Yeah.
and my clients, they were lucky to find a house. They, had their belongings, in the truck coming out from Texas. And
That's hard with relocation.
Oh, yeah.
Because they
yeah.
don't have anywhere to go.
Exactly.
It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
So are the buyers usually coming out, house shopping with you, kind of finding what they want before they actually move? Or how does it generally work?
I get both.
Both?
Yeah. I get people that are coming out on a weekend and they expect to get a house in a weekend, and we've done that before.
Yeah.
But I also get people who will come out and then, they had the intention of buying a house and they're like, whoa, this is not quite, what I was expecting. Depending upon where they're from, they can get sticker shock.
Yeah.
So it's can be a little bit of both. The one I gave the referral out for last night, they came out from Atlanta and they needed to rent a place first. So I found them a rental in Issaquah, and he was working for a company in Bellevue. But yet they wanted to be in Queen Anne. So when they started looking, they looked about 3 months before their lease was up. We were looking in Queen Anne, saw a couple of places, and they weren't, too interested. And the next thing I know, they're like, well, we found this house in Blaine.
Oh.
Do you want to, I know it's kind of far, but we think this is the house. So I said, okay, well, I have a friend up in Blaine that has her own hair salon. So I said, hey, do you want to hang out? I'm going to go show this house. And I asked her to come to the showing with me because she'd been living there for years. She was a member of the community. I wanted her to tell him what the community was like and the schools, because she had kids in school and they had a kid. And, so, yeah, they went ahead and bought that house. So I had to drive up there once. And
Please tell me he doesn't commute to Bellevue for his job from Blaine.
so he gets to work from home a lot.
Okay, good.
And I believe he goes to the office once or twice a week.
Okay.
And he actually had parents that lived in Vancouver, BC. So that worked out really well for their family.
Yeah.
I like that, though.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm sure some of the people that move here have temporary housing with their companies.
Yes.
So they're like on a really limited amount of time, which puts a lot of pressure on you
Yes.
in this sort of short. We have such a limited inventory in this market right now.
Oh, yeah.
So it's tricky.
It is. It's very tricky.
Yeah, you have a big job with not many houses to choose from.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Helen. It was really great information.
Yes. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank
you for tuning in to Financial Fitness Northwest. When we come back from the break, we will be chatting with Paula, Executive Director of Little Bit Therapeutic Writing Center. To find out about topics discussed on today's show, you can find us online at www.financialfitnessnw.com.